Hello and welcome to this recording of the Advanced Searching Library Workshop. This session will cover understanding the difference between a search engine and a database, exploring keyword searches and using Boolean terms to make our search more specific and efficient. Intellectual property protects things like inventions, literary and artistic works. But the part that affects us is that research is also considered to be intellectual property. Research costs money, whether that be from materials that was needed for the research, compensation or offers for participants, advertising to recruit research subjects, or simply the researcher's wages. And as such, the results of that research, like academic journal articles, often cost money for the readers to access them, either as private individuals or institutions that provide access to a group of people like a university library. Some researchers may choose to make their research available publicly for free, which is called open access, but this also costs the researchers or their project money, so not all researchers are able to do this. Therefore, a lot of research content is behind paywalls and not freely accessible in places like search engines. Everyone is likely familiar with using search engines because we use them every day. However, they are not suitable for research most of the time, as they are for everyday use, and there are some key differences between using a search engine and a database. Firstly, search engines have an advertising agenda. This means because the service of using the search engine is made free at the point of use, the companies need another way to make money from you using it, and this is achieved through advertising in some form or another. Search engines are partially based on keyword searches, but it is only partial because your search engine manipulates your search results. You've potentially seen this happen yourself without realising, as it often happens when you are looking for something that has a direct competitor. So you may search for one brand of pizza delivery and end up with a different brand at the top of the list. If the search results were based solely on the words that you chose, the results would only be about the brand that you would search for. But again, because of that advertising agenda, as in company X pays to appear higher in search results than company Y, the manipulation of those results by the language model means that it's not 100% based on the keywords that you choose. Similarly, search engines' results are affected by the popularity ranking of the results. You may have seen this happen when you're troubleshooting a tech problem and the result that you think will be the right answer to your question on the first page doesn't help, but you find the real answer several pages in. This is potentially due to a few things. The first result may be using search engine optimization more effectively and therefore showing their page off to a better advantage, meaning more people click on it. The other option is that a lot of people clicked on that first result, same as you, and found that it didn't help them answer the question. But then some people gave up, meaning that the popularity ranking for the real answer is lower than the first result because not as many people clicked on it. Search engines offer free content, and the free is in quotation marks on purpose. Most of the results that you see on a normal search engine will be free at the point of use. Sometimes you may find things that prompt you for payment too, but these will tend to be in the minority. However, remember that companies that provide search engines are private companies whose job it is to make money. As such, free content may be technically free, but you need to think about things like being forced to use cookies to access materials or having to provide your personal data in exchange for access. Remember that most things that are free at the point of use are free because you are the product. Search engines also typically offer generic content that is aimed at the majority of people or members of the public. This is not normally suitable for research, where we need to show a depth of understanding in our work. You may still find worthwhile materials on search engines, but most of the time the content is going to be like using a leaflet from the doctor's office when you are expected to use the medical textbook. In contrast, material from databases is much more suitable for our needs as researchers. Databases have a neutral agenda. They've already been paid by the time you access them, and so have nothing to gain in advertising things to you or allowing your results to be manipulated by advertising. Database results are based solely on the keywords that you choose, which is why it is so important to your search process to choose appropriate keywords. Your results are also organised by your keywords, so the more that your keyword appears in the resource, the higher up it will appear in your results list. A lot, if not all, of the content that you see on a database is paid for content, which means it's giving you access to those resources we mentioned at the beginning that may be protected by intellectual property rights. Some databases have a wide range of content that covers a lot of subjects, but the library also subscribes to some others that are only intended to support research in a specific subject area, like, for example, Lexis Plus is a database that is only for the law students. The library offers you the ability to do lots of things to support your research. The main library search allows you to search for resources by title or by author, like you would do when using something like Amazon, and go straight to that particular resource. The main search is also something called a discovery service. This means that it's searching lots of databases all at once and showing you results from multiple places. However, it's important to remember to choose the right tool for the right job. Depending on what you're searching for, the main library search may not be the right resource. For example, some databases are not included in the main search. You can find out what databases you might need to be looking at on your subject guide. Equally, you may sometimes get too many results in the library search and want to switch to searching databases individually to narrow the range of your results. Google Scholar is another resource that is often used by students for research. However, it's important to understand that Google Scholar is still a search engine and not a database. It's just attempting to filter the results of your search to more academic content. Therefore, it's important to understand the limitations of what it can and can't offer you. An advantage of Google Scholar is that it may give you access to additional resources that the library doesn't subscribe to. However, it doesn't have the ability to focus your search results by subject area. If you search for something broad like health and safety, Google Scholar would struggle to then limit those results to resources about health and safety in hairdressing, for example. There isn't an easy way to sort your results list on Google Scholar. It isn't always clear what type of content your results are until you click on them. So, for instance, it may not be clear if the resource is a journal article, a book review, or a news article until you have actually clicked on it. It doesn't assist you well with limiting criteria to help you narrow your results. It isn't able to show you any print resources. Some of your results may ask you for payment, and you should not be paying for anything. The most frustrating is that you may sometimes experience the bait and switch, where a resource looks like it's free and that you'll be able to partially read it, but then you'll be asked for payment. And sometimes this can happen when it's suspiciously on the chapter that is most relevant to your work. However, the library search isn't going to do any of these awkward things to you. The library search won't have access to absolutely everything, but it will have access to paid for content that won't be accessible publicly online. The search results can be focused by subject area. The results can be organised by both date and relevance. The results can be limited to certain type of material if wanted, so for example only showing journal articles. There's a variety of search limiting criteria such as a date range, and the system will also make suggestions based on your search. You can search both print materials in the library or online resources. If you see a source in the results list, you will definitely be able to access it, and everything in the system is free for Staffordshire University students to use. We recommend that if you are going to use Google Scholar, that you use it in conjunction with the library search. This video is going to show you a couple of things to help it work a little harder for you. Firstly, you can access the advanced search options from the 3-line menu on the top left hand side. The other change that you can make is going to the settings option on the same menu, choosing library links, searching for Staffordshire and choosing full text and saving. This will connect Google Scholar to the University Libraries catalogue. This means that if you do get the frustrating bait and switch situation we talked about earlier, Google Scholar will now show you if the resource is available in full text from the University Library as well. We've talked about keywords a couple of times, and because we're talking about databases and academic research, some people might think that keyword searches is going to be a big, overwhelming task, but you are all experts in searching from your everyday behaviour and just don't realise. One way to think about keyword searching is like hashtags on Instagram. We use the hashtags to describe the parts that we want other people to be able to identify. As an activity, pause the video for a moment and think about the keywords that you would use to describe the image on the screen. Now that we're back, have a look at your answers and compare them to the suggestions that I've made. Keyword searching works the same way as those hashtags. So if we're describing this dress, we might use words like sparkle, glitter, black, pink, dress, bow, little girl, or get more specific and describe the type of fabric that's used or that it's a party dress. Similarly, if we were shopping on a big store like Amazon, we know that just searching for the word green isn't good enough because we're going to get too many results. But green wellies is more specific. Green children's wellies is even more so. And green children's wellies size 3 is very specific. And all of these techniques are transferable to searching databases correctly and are skills that are going to help us find valuable research for our work. What is different is that databases think differently to search engines. Some people may be old enough to remember when even search engines needed Boolean searches, but most search engines have now gotten rid of this. All databases use Boolean logic, which is a way of manipulating how the keywords we use interact with each other and affect our results. And is the one that you will use most often and is a search limiter. If we search for heart and lungs, the database looks for everything that it has on the word heart, everything that it has for the word lungs, and everything that it has for both together, but then it will only show us results with both keywords together. Or is a search expander, so it makes our search results bigger. Going back to the previous example, if we search heart or lungs, the database will look at everything it has for heart, everything it has for lungs, everything it has for both, and it shows the results from all three groups. Not is a little trickier to use and may not come up very often. It's used as a search restrictor. To change the examples to one that better shows how it works, if we search for apple, not fruit, the results will be things about the company but will exclude things about food. You'll be able to see how Boolean is used in the demonstration that is coming up shortly. Before we move on to the demonstration, here are a few quick tips to make note of that will be useful for later. Databases don't use language algorithms to work like the search engines we are familiar with do. This means that for database searches, you need to get out of the habit of asking questions and thinking about the keywords that will lead you to your answer. Searching what is the capital of India in a database will likely lead to no results because the database will think that what is the are just as important keywords as the ones that are actually important, which is capital, city and India. Databases also only understand single words and not phrases. This means that when we want to search for a phrase, such as climate change, we need to use quotation marks around the phrase to make the database treat it as one word. Without this, we would still get results, but we may get less relevant results too, such as the word climate being at the beginning of a paragraph and the word change at the end, so it's not actually about climate change. Databases can also save us some legwork. We can use an asterisk to look for words that have got similar meanings that start with the same root word. So for example, if we search compute, an asterisk, it looks for computer, computing and computation all at the same time without needing to run separate searches for each word. Another important thing to remember is that you're not always going to get the results that you want. Don't be disheartened if this doesn't happen straight away. Research is a process that takes time, and you will likely need to make adjustments to your search several times before you finish your work. Some things to consider to help you are alternative keywords, such as using children instead of toddlers. Make sure that you are using correct spelling, and check both spellings if you were looking for something that has an Americanized version with Z's instead of S's. Try to run the search again with different filters, such as a bigger date range. Check your notes and lecture material to make sure that you're using the correct language to search for the things that you need. And try using individual subject databases on their own as well as the main library search. You can look at your subject guide to find out more about which resources are purchased for your subject area. So, let's get searching. This is the library search page. This is the main library search. We're going to start by carrying out a basic search for an author name. So I'm going to search for an author who I've searched for before. And as you can see, we've ended up with a list of resources that person has written that are in our database. We're now going to go back to a new search, and we're going to carry out a basic keyword search. Now, as you can see, I've ended up with several million results, which means this is far too much for me to be able to work through. I can make things easier for myself by using the filters along the side and choosing a specific resource type to help me narrow down my search results. So for example, I could say that I only want to look at books, which significantly lowers the results that I've got. I'm also going to show you how using the quotation marks affects our search results. So I'm going to start off by carrying out a search without using quotation marks. I've ended up with 1.1-ish million results. I'm now going to search using the quotation marks. This time I've ended up with 999,000-ish results. However, all of these ones are going to be relevant to my search results, rather than things that may be about a different type of climate that happens to use the word change in its body of work. We can also use the advanced search feature to manipulate our results further. So for example, I'm now going to add on a 10-year date range. My results have now lowered down again to 763,000. We can also use the advanced search features to add our Boolean terms and additional keywords. So, for example, I could add crime onto this search, and we've knocked down our results quite significantly this time, as it's just under 4,000 results now. I could also change my Boolean filters, and I'm going to choose not, and see how it affects my results. So because I've excluded those results, that smaller number of results that came up before, we've now got 759,000 again. I'm going to add a filter to say academic journals only, and we've almost halved our results this time. You can see on the left hand side that some subject terms have been suggested. So I'm going to choose agriculture as my suggested keyword, and again that has knocked down my search results quite significantly. It's important to remember that this searching process is a process. Sometimes you may make these adjustments and get 0 results. Sometimes you still may have far more results than you were expecting. You can use these filters, adding extra lines, changing the date range, using these filters on the left-hand side to manipulate your results multiple times. If you sign into your library account, you will also be able to save your search history. So, to conclude, databases are an excellent source of academic resources. Boolean operators and, or, and not can be used to manipulate your search results. And this is a process that you are going to develop as a skill over the course of your degree. Don't forget to explore the other workshops that are available on the Library and Academic Skills website. These are workshops that you can book onto to attend live so that you'll be able to ask questions. Alternatively, don't forget to check out the other videos that are on the library's website so that you can see other support that is available. Thank you for watching this video.